Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So it is now New Year's Eve, so I thought to close out the year, I would give my top 12 moments from the sport of hockey on the whole this year in the calendar year of 2023. This could be from college hockey, junior hockey, NHL, international tournaments. Anything is fair game. Obviously, there's a little bit of bias to the NHL. Most of these are probably going to be from the NHL, but I'm going to run these down 12 through 1. So let's get into it because a lot has happened this year in terms of history and fantastic big moments. Up first at number 12, I got when McDavid hit 150 points, and this was a very fun thing to track throughout the year. At first, it was, can he hit 130, then 135, then 140, then 145. Then it was like, oh shit, this dude's going to pretty easily get 150. And he became just the sixth guy in NHL history to ever get to 150 points, joining Gretzky, Lemieux, Yzerman, Bernie Nichols, and Phil Esposito. It was just an absolutely fantastic thing to watch. The only reason this isn't higher is because in that COVID-shortened season, he did put up 150 4-point pace. So it was not an expected thing that he would eventually get to 150. Before McDavid, we thought a guy might never get to 150, but once we saw that COVID-shortened season, we were like, if he puts it all together in a full season, he is clearly capable of doing it. Still a fantastic achievement and one of the coolest things to track in the 2023 calendar year, and a great moment when he finally broke it. At number 11, I have when Quinnipiac won their first NCAA Frozen Four Division I college hockey title. This was just such a feel-good story to watch happen in the NCAA tournament this year. When you look at Quinnipiac, they were basically nothing before head coach Rand Pecknall arrived like 15, 20 years ago. He built that program from scratch. This wasn't a Minnesota, Michigan, Boston College, Boston University. Although they were in the Northeast in Connecticut, it was not a traditional college hockey powerhouse. He built it from out of nowhere, and he built it by getting these just veteran, grimy, physical, 4-year college players. This wasn't a Michigan or Minnesota, and they had to beat Michigan and Minnesota. Guys like Fantilli, Luke Hughes, Logan Cooley on Minnesota, Jimmy Snuggerud, Brock Faber. They had to go through all these juggernaut, usual powerhouse teams, and Quinnipiac ended up getting their first title ever, and they're led by guys like Colin Graff, undrafted player, Sam Lipkin, 7th-round pick, Skylar Brindamore, Rod Brindamore's son, 6th-round pick, and then in net they had Yannick Peretz, who was an undrafted goalie. It was just so cool to watch this, not no-name school, because Quinnipiac had been on the map in the past 10 years, but not in a major conference, not having all this NIL money, shelling it out to high draft picks, go on this amazing run and end up winning the Frozen Four this season in college hockey. For those that don't watch college hockey, you should start watching it. It's fantastic. The product has improved so much over the past 5 to 10 years. It's really entertaining. Number 10, I have when the Seattle Kraken beat the Colorado Avalanche this year in the first round. Seattle Kraken had an absolutely horrendous first season as a franchise, had like 60 or 61 points. They were basically a bottom feeder. They make some moves this offseason, completely transform, have a fantastic shooting percentage, end up with 100 points, and they have to face the Colorado Avalanche, the defending champions. And while the Colorado Avalanche did have to deal with Nichushkin leaving after Game 2, mysteriously not playing another game in the series, Landeskog not playing, it was still expected that Colorado would take care of them in 4 or 5 games. No one, for the most part, probably like 98% of people that actually cared about their brackets had the Colorado Avalanche taking care of the Seattle Kraken. Obviously, the Seattle Kraken would go on to win in 7 games. It was just a fantastic moment. It wasn't as electric as, obviously, the Vegas Golden Knights going on that Stanley Cup run in their first year, but the fact the Kraken, although they have kind of regressed this year, in their second year to have that much success, it was so fun watching a team that is pretty easy to root for. I think have one of the best jersey combos in the entire league, go on a deep playoff run, or not that deep of playoff run, but beat somebody, beat the defending champs against all odds. It was great to watch. At number 9, I have the Dylan Gunther game-winning goal against Czechia. It was a fantastic goal. Obviously, Joshua Wall with the pass, and just overall, game-winning goals, golden goals in the World Juniors. It's always going to be a historic play. Dylan Gunther is going to be remembered forever for that goal, regardless of what he accomplishes at the NHL level. He is forever a Canadian legend just for that goal overall. It was a great tournament, and obviously Canada got their second straight. At number 8, I have when the Boston Bruins set the goddamn points record. It was one of the most magical seasons of all time, 135 points, a record that I'm not sure will, as long as they're playing 82 games and don't increase the scoring, I'm not sure I'm ever going to watch someone break that record again. Obviously, the Montreal Canadiens set it back in, I forget the year, but in the 1970s, 132, back when they played 80 games and had ties. But the Boston Bruins were absolutely fantastic, obviously led by their goalie tandem. Olmark had a 938, Swayman had a 920. One of the greatest tandems we'll ever get to watch in a single season. Pastrnak had 61 goals, 52 assists for 113 points. Hampus Lindholm put up 53 points, finished fourth in the goddamn Norris voting. Bergeron was still fantastic. Marchand was fantastic. McAvoy was fantastic. This team was just an absolute wagon and probably the best regular season team we will see maybe ever. Obviously, the moment doesn't hold as much weight because they ended up losing the first round, which might be later on the list. Spoiler alert, but you still can't take away the success of at least this regular season for the Boston Bruins. It was great to watch. At number 7, I have when Leo Carlson was drafted second overall. I know this might be a little bit of a biased pick. He is my boy. He's been on the show. But coming into the draft, we thought Bedard, Fantilli, Carlson, Smith. Lock. Because of Michkov's questionable contract status over in Russia, we assumed that was the top 4. Nobody was really going on record with the Anaheim Ducks taking Leo Carlson. Pat Verbeek walks up to the mic, says he's taking Leo Carlson from Orboro of the SHL. I was shocked. I loved Leo as a prospect, but I thought they were going to go with Fantilli. Obviously, they go with Carlson. You should have been there in Nashville. People were in the arena, were losing their minds at the pick, and people shat on the pick pretty intensely. But obviously, Leo Carlson has proved that he was worth that second overall pick. Long way to go, but right now, he had 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points in 23 games. Obviously, before he got injured, and Fantilli's playing very good, especially of late. He has 11 goals, 12 assists for 23 points in 38 games. But yeah, that. Especially because we just all thought that at number 2, Fantilli was going to happen. The fact Carlson kind of spiced up that draft, and from there, a bunch of other crazy stuff happened. Michkov obviously fell all the way to 7th overall. Just the draft on the whole, and especially that Carlson moment, was very memorable and made the draft that much more interesting this year in one of the most loaded draft classes we will ever see. Up next, I had to put it. I'm not happy it's here, but when the Toronto Maple Leafs won a playoff series for the first time in 19 rounds. Objectively, if you take out any bias against the Leafs, this was a fantastic moment for them and their fans. John Tavares wins it in overtime. Funny enough, he broke the Islanders' 23-year streak against the Florida Panthers back in 2016 in an OT goal. Just watching the city of Toronto erupt, even though I'm not a Leafs fan, I do not like the Leafs one bit. Objectively, a non-biased, it was a very cool moment for the NHL as a whole, and especially for that fan base, and it was pretty cool. At number 5, I have Bedard versus Slovakia. I know this wasn't the golden goal. The Gunther one was the golden goal, but when you think about that World Juniors, you think of Conor Bard, you think of his many highlights, 23 points. It was probably the best World Juniors of the 21st century by a player. And this goal, when he single-handedly took on Slovakia, absolutely deked the shit out of the goaltender. That is what I'm going to remember from that World Juniors. It was a fantastic goal, a fantastic tournament from Bedard, and I just remember Twitter absolutely breaking when he did that. Oh my God, did he just do it? And obviously he had a fantastic celly after. It was awesome. It was the highlight of the World Juniors from last year in early January. I think it might have been January 1st or January 2nd. At number 4, when the Florida Panthers came back from a 3-1 deficit against the Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins, obviously the greatest regular season team of all time that I talked about prior. Everybody thought the Panthers were dead after they went down 3-1, and rightfully so. We thought, oh, Boston really is a wagon. They're gonna make the Stanley Cup Finals at the bare minimum. They're dominating the Panthers. They rightfully so were up 3-1. Then Bobrovsky just turns on a switch, becomes like prime Dominik Hasek. It was absolutely insane. Matthew Tkachuk says, I'm not losing in the first round of the playoffs. I'm going to start taking over as well. They win the next 2 games. I thought they got outplayed in that game 7, but they found a way to win. Carter Verhaeghe ends up scoring the game winner. It was just... You can't write it any better. A 3-1 greatest regular season team of all time. It's basically the 2016 Warriors, but in the goddamn first round against an 8-seed team that had to claw their way just to get into the playoffs. It was a fantastic moment, and everybody clowned on the Bruins when they ended up losing that. At number 3, I have when Vegas won the cup. When Vegas won the cup, it was just very cool seeing the group of misfits get the cup first. They absolutely dominated the Stanley Cup final. That's probably why it's not number one, just because they took care of business so easily, because that Panthers team was just ran out of gas for the most part. But them winning the Stanley Cup, obviously this group had been, some of the pieces on the group, misfits, have been there for a while. They've been through a lot. Last year, the team didn't even make the playoffs. People wrote them off for the most part. I didn't. I still had them safely in the playoffs the following year. But they had a lot to prove in this season and obviously ended up winning the Stanley Cup. You look at a guy like Jack Eichel, had been labeled not a winner in Buffalo. Then he gets to Vegas, although the reason why they missed the playoffs last year was because Eichel, Stone, Pacioretty all missed like 40 games, but they missed the playoffs. That stigma sticks around with Eichel, and his first full season with the Vegas Golden Knights ends up winning the Stanley Cup, shutting all of his haters out. It was just very cool to watch. I know Vegas is a polarizing team, but you look at it, William Carlson's speech at the parade, absolutely electric. It was still a very cool moment for the NHL and for the Vegas Golden Knights. But at number 2, I actually have Tkachuk's Eastern Conference Finals Game 4 winner with 4 seconds left. I think this was a cooler moment than, say, the Vegas Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup. Again, that was just a rout. This was insane when you look at Tkachuk in that series. He won it in Game 1. He won it in Game 2. Game 1 was like 4 overtimes, if my memory serves correct. And then in Game 4, yet again, comes up extremely clutch, tied 3-3. Absolutely rifles it home with 4 seconds left. Amazing celly, as you can see, when he just went on both knees and just took in the moment. You can't write it better than that. It was just Tkachuk. Bobrovsky playing fantastic in net, and Tkachuk putting the team on his back in terms of in overtime at the end of games. I have never seen 2 players literally just carry a team like that before. And I think in terms of NHL, that was probably the coolest single moment this season. But the number one moment in all of hockey, I'm going to the international stage. I almost forgot to even put this, but then once I remembered, it was a pretty obvious number one in my opinion. And that was when Latvia won bronze at the World Hockey Championships. This pick doesn't even do it justice. If you like turned it over, like the amount of people, the crowd, like it was the entire city basically came out, like when Argentina won the goddamn World Cup, and this was for a bronze medal. I know people are gonna say, "Oh, World Hockey Championships, not even the best NHLers go. It's not best on best." I don't care. The fact that Latvia beat the United States with the talent that the United States had in that bronze medal game was insane, and they treated it like a goddamn national holiday, and rightfully so. It was a historic moment for Latvia, and you look at it, Latvia's rising in terms of the NHL on the whole. Literally, as I filmed this, Germany lost to Canada, and Latvia is making the quarterfinals in the World Juniors. So you look at Latvia, such a proud country, only like 1.5 or 2 million people, to get that first medal at the World Hockey Championships. It was just so cool to watch, and just shows that like we got to grow the game, because in countries like Latvia, you think about 10 years ago, no one was talking about Latvia, and now the passion is clearly there. Continue to expand the game, and the game will only grow. So that is my top 12 moments. Let's run through it. McDavid 150, Quinnipiac winning the NCAA title, Kraken over Avalanche, Gunther's game-winning goal, Bruins break the record, Carlson surprisingly going second overall, Leafs and Tavares get it done, Bedard's disgusting goal against Slovakia, Panthers come back from 3-1, Knights win the cup, Tkachuk's Game 4 goal, and Latvia winning bronze. Let me know in the comments what were your favorite moments from the 2023 calendar year. I cannot wait for 2024. I'm going to have some announcements coming up early January of 2024, some things that we're going to do with the page. We're really looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Hope you had a fantastic 2023 and an even better 2024, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.